everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny, and today I have episode 19 of the Honeybird Studio Knitting Podcast for you. So it has been a while since my last upload. Specifically, I think it's been 6 months, so half a year. Yes, it has been a while. I feel extremely rusty, and I feel like everyone else who's been in this situation feels the same way. Like, oh, I've recorded my intro like 20 times. It's no joke. I think I'm on take 20. Anyways, yes. I'm feeling just a little bit flustered just because it's been so long since I've sat down to record something, or to film something, whatever. And I have a stack of knitting here of things that I finished specifically in the last 2 months, I would say, because I kind of lost my knitting mojo towards the end of November, and then like December, January, and February were kind of, I would say, didn't do much knitting in those months. And then in March, I think what renewed my knitting mojo, I guess, is I went to Fibers West here in the Lower Mainland, and I went with a friend, and it was nice to see and be inspired by new yarns and stuff. My only acquisition was enough to make one project, and I cast it on that day when I got home. So anyways, I'll show that project today as well. But yes, I'm losing my train of thought. Where was I going with this? Yeah, I guess the gist of it is it's been a while, so welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and if you're a new viewer, welcome to my channel. I always have this idea that I'm going to upload on a regular basis, and then life happens. But I'm really trying to hammer out a schedule of at least uploading one knitting podcast a month, at least for the next 4 or 5 months. So that's my goal, is at least to do one video a month. Yes, that's the goal. Consistency. But yeah, anyways, I could ramble on about a lot of things, but let's get into the knitting content, because that is what this podcast is about. So the first thing I want to talk about is what I'm wearing. So I will show this off. This was in my last podcast episode I guess it was like about halfway done, I think. So this is the Lana vest by Irene Lin. So it's got a nice cable going down the side, and then the cables and this that go down the front also are on the back. I won't turn around, but yeah, so I was really happy to get this off the needles and get it finished. I didn't block this, so I haven't soaked it and blocked it, because I actually really I know I'm gonna have to wash it eventually. I just wanted to get some use out of it before anyway, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the yarn. I brought all of I was good this time, and I brought a bag of all of the yarn with the tags and the yarn that I've used for all my projects today. Okay, so the yarn that I used for this vest, I actually got it in Knit City a number of years ago. Trying to think when it was that I bought it, because it wouldn't have been Knit City Mini. I think it would have been 2019 is when I got this, and this yarn is called Grosso Fancy Chain. I think I bought 3 skeins of this, and it was on sale. It was 30% off, and I got it from, let's see if I can get that to focus, maybe. Yeah, so it was 30% off, $15 for this 100 grams. What is that? 250 meters. So it's like a DK weight yarn. And for $15 a skein, so I bought 4, so that's 60, and then minus 30%, whatever that happens to be. I can't do math in my head right now. But essentially that, I guess it would be just over 25%, so like 45. Like 40 something dollars for 4 of these. I only ended up needing 3 of them. But this was from the Kensington Prairie Farm booth, and I feel like at least that 2019 Knit City was the first time I bought from them. And then I think it was in 2021 at Knit City Mini, I don't think I bought anything from their booth. And then I think I bought a cone from their booth. And then Knit City 2022, I didn't buy anything from their booth. But when they came to Fibers West in March, I ended up buying some yarn from them. They have oh my gosh, I'm totally going off on a tangent here. Okay. I just need to collect my thoughts for a moment. Yes. So, that is the yarn that I used, is this. Good stuff. So, let's talk about the pattern. I've wanted to knit a vest for a long time, and this vest just spoke to me. However, the original pattern is knit in, I think, a worsted to Aran weight yarn on size 5mm needles, I think. 5 or 5.5 or 6 or something. But in any case, because this is a DK weight, I decided to go down a needle size. So I think I went down to a 4.5mm. And I think I cast on for the second size, because I think it's supposed to have positive ease, a little bit more positive ease than what I have. I'm sure if I blocked this, it would be more oversized on me, but I wanted it to be a little bit, not negative ease, but I didn't want as much positive ease as was in the pattern. So I figured I kind of threw caution to the wind in the sense that, like, I just decided I'd go down a needle size, knit the size 2, and hope for the best, essentially. I've mentioned it before, I'm pretty sure. I kind of knit on the wild side. Throwing caution to the wind quite often. I wouldn't say I try to do gauge swatches. I do gauge swatches sometimes, but not all the time. I don't mind if I start knitting something and I find out that it is too big or too small. I can rip it out and knit it again. I'm a process knitter. I would say first and foremost, I'm a process knitter first, and then a product knitter second. Like, I love having the finished object, but, oh my gosh, I'm going off on tangents again. So I knit the size 2, and it fits me perfectly. It's got a split hem, and I think I definitely had enough yarn. If I broke into this, I could have knit it like I could have added an extra inch, but I feel like over top of this shirt and a couple of other shirts that I have, I think this vest looks fine. I think the length is fine. I'm a short person, so I don't know. It's not cropped, but it's not long. I feel like it works fine. So that's why I decided not to bust into this skein. I think I'm going to use this for fingerless mittens or gloves or something. There's enough for something in here. I could probably even make a hat, but that's for future me to decide. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this pattern. I really love cables and texture. I think right now my top favorite things in knitting are cables and textures, and lace. Okay, I guess that's 3 things. That's like my top of the line there. I don't mind stockinette. Like, I don't mind going back and forth, like knitting and purling for stockinette or stockinette in the round, but I find my mind starts to wander and I start to get bored. So I like projects that have a little bit of something going on outside of just straight knitting or straight knitting and purling. So this was really fun to knit on because it has texture. It's got like some knit textures and it's got cables, and then it's got like the texture on the side there. But yeah, anyways, all that to say, I really enjoyed this knit. I'm really happy that I finished it, and I like it so much that I knit it again. So I will talk about my works in progress. No, that is a lie. These are not my works in progress. Okay, technically, they're not 100% finished. I haven't weaved in the ends and I haven't blocked them yet. So they're somewhere between works in progress and finished objects. So, finished objects. Alright, so the first finished object is another Lana vest by Irene Lin. So this is it. You can see I've got a lot of ends. There's probably at least like 30, 40 ends in here to weave in. Yeah, there's a lot, but I don't mind. I'm going to have a weave-in party. at some point. I call it a party. I wouldn't really call it a party, but you know, I'm gonna sit down and weave in all my ends some evening or afternoon. But yeah, so this is the vest, and you can see the cable detail and the textured stitch, and then the back has the same motif. And so for this one, I believe I think I knit the size 2 again. No, is it? Yeah, I knit the size 2 again. So the yarn, okay, I want to get this up here again. All right, so the yarn that I used for this vest is from Kensington Prairie Farm. I picked it up at Fibers West back in March, and it is the Indicida DK yarn. So it's, oh, I guess it's that way, Indicida. And you can see again, 20% off. So I think it was originally, yeah, $9 a skein. Where's that? $9 Canadian right there. And they were 20% off. So essentially like $7 or whatever for each one. And I bought 10 of these. I only ended up using, I guess if I was to, I didn't break into 2. And I had 2 half skeins, or I guess half donuts left of the last 2 balls I was using. So I would say I probably didn't need to buy, I only needed 7 to knit the vest. So I have some extras that I'm probably going to use for another project. My friend that came with me to Fibers West also bought, I think 5 of these, a couple of these, maybe it was 4 of these. So I could technically, and she wanted to give it to me, so I could technically make another vest. But yeah. So that's that. And oh, and it is 100% alpaca, 100% baby alpaca. So this is where I have a little bit of a concern with finishing this vest, is that right now I love the length. I love the fit. Like I absolutely love the fit of this vest. And because it's alpaca 100%, I'm very scared that when I block it, it's going to become much larger for me. So I think, again, it's one of those things where it's like, once I weave in the ends, I'm probably going to wear it a couple of times just to get as much out of it as I can before it potentially becomes more oversized. It's something that I'm definitely going to look into. Cause I mean, it might not, actually, no, I've knit something with 100% alpaca before and it didn't like grow hugely. So maybe that's just like in my head, I'm thinking the worst, but we'll see. But yeah, so with this one, again, I went down a needle size because this is a DK weight, and I went down to a 4.5 again for this one, and I did the size 2, but this one, I did this, again, I did the same size, I probably used the same needles, but I think because like this vest here was knit in like a chain ply. This is alpaca and polyamide for the gray one, and it's a chain ply, and I feel like it was plumper, so it knit, I don't know, like it knit at a tighter gauge, I guess, like, yeah. And then like this, the Indicida is a little bit thinner, so using the same size needles, it feels like it's a more like airy feeling, I guess. But yeah, so that's my second Lana vest, and I would absolutely love to knit another one. I've actually went through Irene Lin's library of patterns, and she has at least 3 other vests that I would like to knit. So I think what I'm going to do is, as much as I really, really love this design, I've knit it twice now, I think I'm going to give one of her other vests a try for the next time I do a vest pattern, or sorry, the next time I want to knit a vest, which will probably be pretty soon, I'm going to knit another one of hers. Which one? I'm not sure yet, but yeah. So that's finished object number 1. Well, technically number 2 if you count this one. The next finished object is also an Irene Lin pattern. And this one is the Boho Mosaic style. Boho style Mosaic shawl. There you go. So this is, okay, I will have to show. I haven't weaved in any of my ends. Like I said, I think the majority of these finished objects are almost finished. They need the ends woven in and they need to be blocked. So they're not 100% done. I have very limited space. I can only block one project at a time, and I just took one thing off the blocking mats this week. So my next thing I'm going to block is probably going to be this shawl. But anyways, so this is the mosaic motif. It's really pretty. I love doing mosaic knitting. The yarn that I used for this one is yarn that I got from Knit City back in the fall. And this is from Ancient Arts Yarn. And this was one of the colors that I got that I didn't end up breaking into, which is the, what color is this? I think it was like called Jeans or something. It does not say, oh, Denim. There you go. So it's called Denim, which makes sense. So I had 4 colors. I had the sort of this oatmeal-y brown, this red, more like a Merlot red, and then a black, and then the denim blue. And I was really, what is it? Like, I was very indecisive on the colors that I wanted. I wanted to be close to the original pattern, but then when I started combining other colors, this combination spoke to me. And I didn't arrive at this combination alone. The dyer, I can't remember her name, but the dyer from Ancient Arts was working the booth, and she came over and asked me if I needed some help with color play, because she said she really loves, you know, putting colors together and stuff. Well, obviously, because she's dyes the yarn. So she pulled out a couple of color combinations, and like this combination was just clicked right away for me. I was like, that's the one. Like, this is the color, or this is the combination. So I really like how this worked out. So this is, again, this pattern was originally written for worsted weight yarn, and I think it was knit on a 5mm needle. I first sized down, because this is DK weight, I first sized down to 3.75, and that was, I got to, I think, this second part here, and it was too tight. So I was like, okay, I know 5mm was too loose. 3.75 was way too tight. So I believe I went to a 4.5mm, and I liked the gauge that I was getting with that. So this is where I say, like, I don't always knit a gauge swatch, because in certain projects, I'll knit to a certain point and then decide whether I like the fabric or not. And because this is a shawl and the size doesn't, technically the size was adjustable in this pattern. You can make the regular size or like extended by an extra couple of repeats. And I decided, because I'm doing the DK weight on smaller needles, I would do the extended size to make it, you know, the size shawl that I wanted. I didn't do any math or anything. Again, I'm just throwing caution to the wind and hoping for the best. But it did turn out, like, and this is before blocking. Like, this thing is much larger than my wingspan. Like, I can't even hold this thing up without it drooping. But I'm really excited to get the ends woven in and then get this blocked, because I think it'll be really nice for the fall, because this is, let's see, this is, oh yeah, I think I talked about this last time, the Manx Loughton and 75%, so it's 25% Manx Loughton and 75% Punta Arenas wool. So it's a very, I wouldn't say it's like a scratchy wool, but it's definitely like wool. Okay, I say wool. This could be different for everyone, but it's definitely for the cooler weather, not the hot weather that's coming up. 30 degrees next weekend. 30 degrees Celsius next weekend is going to get to in the valley here. But yeah, so I really enjoyed knitting on this. It was nice, like, this is really nice to like do the knits and purls and then have this one section where it's basically resting, because you don't have to purl, you just knit, and then you go back to knitting and purling. And then with the mosaic, it's really cool because there's technically no purling, it's all knitting. So yeah, so that's that. All right, so I'm excited to get that blocked. I think, yeah, like I said, I think this will probably be the next thing that I block. I'll probably weave in the ends after this and block it before I leave. Okay, so the next finished object is the Ola Sweater by Irene Lin. You can see there's kind of a theme here. So this is the Ola Sweater. I've already knit this once for myself. This one I've knit for my sister, and she requested to have full length sleeves. So with this one, I'm using the Loops and Threads wool-like. So just give me a moment to grab the yarn out of here. Okay. Okay, so this is the Loops and Threads wool-like. So at Michael's, these are $4.99 for each ball, but I don't think I've ever paid full price for them. I usually get it when they're like 25% off. Yeah, usually they're like 25% off or something. But yeah, so I think I used, sorry, things are falling. I think I used just over, okay, hold on. Each arm needed about half of the amount, because I'm holding the yarn double. So I used I think I used 4 balls for the body and a total of 2 for, or just over 2 maybe for the sleeves. No, these are full length sleeves. Anyways, so I really enjoyed this pattern because it's not just stockinette in the round. You can see it's kind of like it's a broken rib. And there is short row shaping on the back to bring the neck up. So the thing about this is that I knit the same size, which I think was size 2, that I knit for myself. The one that I knit for myself was made out of wool. And I mean, I could have done a gauge swatch for this one, but for my sister, just for the ease of washing and taking care of the garment, I decided to knit this for her in acrylic yarn. Well, this is like a mix of acrylic and nylon, and because I think it's going to be easier for her to take care of, to just throw it in the washer and dryer. I haven't woven in the ends yet, but once I do, I'm gonna wash it and block it, or sorry, I'm gonna wash it and dry it. I'm gonna do the washer and dryer at my place first before I give it to her, just so that I know, like, once it's gone through the washer and dryer, that's the product that I'm giving her, instead of her wearing it now and it changing shape once it's been washed. Because that's my experience with this yarn in particular. Once you throw it in the washer and dryer, or like acrylic yarns in general, when I've knit sweaters or garments or shawls or anything, and I throw them in the washer and dryer, they do grow. Not a whole lot, but they definitely, there's like a certain stiffness to acrylic that kind of softens once you wash it, or in my experience at least. So I wouldn't say like this is necessarily stiff, but compared to what it's going to feel like once I wash it, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. But anyway, so the modifications, essentially I just made the sleeves longer. I think I could have, or I know I could have decreased even more to cinch this in more, because when I put it on, let me just put this on real quick. Like it's very much a balloon sleeve, but you can see it's not cinched up to there. So basically I figure what I'm going to do is, once it's washed and dried and I have my sister, and I give it to my sister and she tries it on, if the sleeves are too wide, like open for her, then what I'll do is I'll just go back. I'll just rip back the cuff, decrease, and do another decrease round, and then knit the cuff again. It's not a big deal. I don't mind having to do that if it means she'll get more wear out of it. My other concern is that the neckline sits nicely right now, but I feel like once I wash it, it might stretch a little bit. Oh, I know it's going to stretch a little bit, so we'll see what happens there. I think what I wish I could have done is finish these projects a lot sooner, and then done the washing and blocking and wearing, and then posted like videos or pictures of what it looks like after all is said and done. But I'm hoping that if I can get my future self to do these things and update my Ravelry pages, like actually make project pages, then I could post like updates on how all this went. Okay, so that's that. The next finished object is the Rota jumper by Irene Lin. So there's this. So I knit 3 of these last year, but I knit them all out of acrylic yarn. So while they're nice to wear, they get really hot in the hot weather. So I really only wore them like later in the evening when it would when the temperature would come down. So this one I knit out of cotton. So this one, let's see. Okay. This one is out of Loops and Threads cream cotton. So let's see. There we go. It's cream cotton, and I bought 4 balls of this a while ago, and it was waiting for a project, and I decided, well, this will be the one. I might as well just do it this one because it makes sense, or made sense to me. So I only just broke into this to finish the last sleeve, so there's still quite a bit of the ball left there. But anyways, yeah, so I knit this on, again, okay, so here's the theme with me and Irene Lin patterns, is this is knit with a larger needle size. I think it was like a size 5mm, and I opted to go down to a 4.5 and knit the smallest size because last year when I knit my first one was size 2, and then my second and third ones were size 1. And I felt like they were still too big on me because I think I used the proper needle size, or like I used the needle size recommended in the pattern, but I did not do a gauge swatch. I just went with it, and I think I knit looser than Irene Lin. So I'm sure if I did a gauge swatch, I would see that like going down a needle size would be appropriate for me. But I don't know for sure until I do a gauge swatch and test it out. But anyways, so yeah, so this is size 1 on 4.5mm needles instead of size 5mm, and I followed the pattern exactly, except for I'm pretty sure I added an extra repeat here because I wanted this to be just 1 repeat longer than my other ones, because the other ones I like the crop length of it, but this is for my sister-in-law, and I think I mean, I'm sure she'd be fine with a crop top, but I find for me personally, I would have liked to have that extra bit so I could like kind of tuck it in my shorts or something, like just the like French tuck or whatever. But yeah, so this is, yeah, it just came off the blocking mats today. I've had it drying for the last couple of days. Cotton takes a surprisingly longer time to dry than wool does. But yeah, so I really like how this turned out. It definitely is, I tried it on myself. My sister-in-law is about the same size as me, so I think it'll fit her, like it should fit her fine. But yeah, I don't know what else, not much else to say about this other than I like knitting with the yarn. It's a cotton nylon blend, I think. Let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, 87% cotton and 13% nylon. And it does say to hand wash. So that's, I was going to try and throw it in the washer and dryer, but I guess I should, I'll have to tell my sister-in-law that she'll have to hand wash it. It shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, so that's it. All right. Excited. So that was actually a finished project that's actually fully finished. The ends are weaved in and it's been blocked. Yep. Okay, and then the next finished object is the Ola Sweater by Irene Lin, and this one is 100% done as well. So ends are woven in and it's been blocked, and I have a story for you about this one. So this is the Ola Sweater. I think I knit the size 2, and I followed, again, I didn't do a gauge swatch, but I followed the pattern as directed. I found that my gauge was a lot airier than I wanted it to be because this is on fingering weight yarn. The yarn that I used is Mid-Knit Cravings Light Sock, and I believe the colorway was Rosewater. I do have the tag, but it's in a crinkly bag, so, but I do remember that. So I bought this yarn at Knit City in September with the intention of knitting this sweater, and I finally got around to it. And yeah, I really enjoyed knitting this a lot. Like, I love the lace detail on it. and it's got the lace in the back as well. So this particular pattern has an interesting blocking story because when I first finished it, it was just slightly too small. I wouldn't say too small. It's just I knew that once I blocked it, that it would become drapier and, you know, would sit nicer on my body. But when because this is superwash yarn, when I soaked it and then I put it on the blocking mats, I was like, oh my goodness, it's gone from like my size to football jersey size. I was not anticipating it to grow that much. It went from being slightly cropped and like the sleeves coming to like bracelet length to being like the sleeves coming way out. And it basically was a dress, and the shoulder came all the way down to here, and it was I was kind of panicking a little bit. Sorry. And so I let it dry, and then I came back when it was fully dry. I tried it on again, and I was like, yeah, this thing did not snap back at all. It was, I wish I had taken a picture of it, but I did. I took it home and I put it in the dryer on the lowest temperature on the most gentlest cycle, and I put it in for 5 minutes, and it was fine. It was still too big, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put it back in, do another 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, it looks like something's happening. Like the stitches were, like they were loose like this, and like as it was drying, you know, the stitches were kind of, I guess the yarn was plumping up again, and the stitches were kind of coming together, and that's, I guess, I mean, this is superwash yarn. It's technically not supposed to felt. I think, right? I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm, well, that's my understanding of superwash yarn. So anyways, I think in total it was in the dryer on low for 15 minutes total, or maybe it was 20. I might have pushed it on the last one and let it go for an extra minute or two. And then when it came out, I was like, oh my gosh, like that, I almost got a little bit scared because I was like, oh my gosh, it really like shrunk back up. But as you can see, it's an appropriate size again. Like it, when I put this on, it is the perfect length. The sleeves come exactly to where I want them to go, and it just sits exactly the way that I wanted it to. And I feel like had I left it in the dryer any longer, I'm not sure if it would have, you know, shrunk any more, which very well could have. But I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. But yeah, you can see like the lace really opened up after blocking. It was kind of more scrunched up, but it was interesting because when I blocked it the first time and before putting it in the dryer, the lace was like super airy, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it just, yeah. So thankfully this was a success story. I think the next time I block it, I think I'm only going to give it like a quick bath, like no longer than like just enough to soak it. And instead of letting it sit for like 10-15 minutes, I think I'm just going to like dunk it in, get it wet, and then pull it out to block it. But yeah. So the yarn, okay, I'll quickly talk about the yarn. So it's Midnight Cravings light sock base in the Rosewater colorway, and it's one of their tonal yarns, like a solid tonal, I guess. So I did not alternate skeins at all whatsoever. I just knit each skein, and then when I came to the end of the skein, I knit the next skein. I don't think there's any obvious like color pooling where like you can see where there's like lighter and darker areas, I guess, but I think overall there's no real spots where the color has pooled at all. At least, I don't know, not to my eyes. I think it looks great. I think Midnight Cravings does a really great job of their tonals and solids. So, and yeah, I would definitely make another fingering weight sweater out of their yarn. So yeah, so that's that. That was the Ola sweater. The next finished object is definitely a fully finished object because I've had this one finished for a while. So this is another sweater. This is Devotion by Minimi Knit Designs. So this is a V-neck sweater. This is, I think, my my Lana vest was my first v-neck, I think. This one's like my first like full sweater v-neck. Yeah, look at that. It looks really cool. So I've discovered that I really like v-necks. I knit sleeves and then the body. I think it's like the perfect length. The yarn that I used is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. And I think it was something heather, iris heather or something. The ball band for this I have misplaced. I did keep them all together at some point, and then, I don't know. I gotta do a better job of keeping all the ball bands in one area of my bedroom. But yeah, so this I think took just under 10 of the balls of Knit Picks Andes, wool of the Andes. I think I have just a little bit left over, like maybe enough to make a headband or something. So I knit this and I knit the sleeves. Like I get to the part where I split for the body, or sorry, split for the sleeves. And then I finish the sleeves first and then go back and knit the rest of the body as long as I can with what yarn I have left. And that seems to be working for me because I would rather have full length sleeves first and then potentially a cropped body than to have a full length body and then like bracelet length sleeves, I guess, because I like full length sleeves for the most part. So yeah, so that's this. I've worn, this has got to be one of my favorite sweaters that I wore this I guess like January and February. When did I finish this? I think I might have finished it in February, so I did get a bit of wear out of it in March. The weather is starting to warm up too much for me to wear this though, because it is wool, so it is very warm. But yeah, I really love this sweater. It just, I want to knit more V-neck sweaters for sure, and I just love how it looks. It's great. It's like the perfect neckline on me, I think. So that's that. Sorry, now I feel like I'm kind of rushing through my finished objects because I still have, I don't know, like 5 more. Okay, this is me catching up for the last 6 months of being away. The next sweater that I have here is sweater number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And again, this is one that's, the sweater itself is done, but I haven't weaved in the ends and blocked it yet. But I actually just finished this last night, I think. I finished the knitting. And the yarn that I'm using is Hobie Diablo. And I'm holding 3 strands of this together. And I had started this back in December. Or no, sorry, I started this in November. I had ordered the yarn at the beginning of November, got it at the end of November, started knitting it, and then got to a point where I needed to order more, but I just didn't get around to doing it. So I recently did order more, and it turns out I only literally needed like 2 more balls to finish it. But anyways, the Diablo yarn is 40% acrylic, 30% mohair, and 30% polyamide. I've heard other people talk about this yarn and that, like, okay, so I've heard not the best things about this mohair because it is more acrylic than it is mohair. And it has to me, it feels okay. It's, you know, a little bit of acrylic, a little bit of, what does it say? Polyamide and mohair. So I was using 3 strands together on a size 6mm needle. And I found that it didn't hurt my hands. It didn't feel like weird or like squeaky or anything. I think maybe because I was holding 3 strands together. But yeah, I don't know. I personally wouldn't probably buy this again. Just because they have a huge color range. Like, I don't know, there's like 40 something colors or something. But I wouldn't order this again. I think it's one of those things where it's like, I don't have enough experience with different types of mohair, or mohair like fibers. Like there's Surrey alpaca mohair, and then there's like blends and stuff like that. So like I don't have enough experience to really say much about like comparing different mohairs. So it's like I wouldn't order this again in the sense that like I would rather try something else new and then have a comparison to this. But I also know that from experience, like I'm looking at, there's 3 projects sitting on a box over there that have mohair held together, and I dislike every single one of them. I just personally wouldn't knit a garment for myself with mohair. Maybe I just haven't found the right one, because I think, yeah, there was 3 different types of mohair that I've used in those 3 projects, but I couldn't tell you what they were because they were things that I bought when I was first really excited about knitting, and I was just buying whatever I thought was pretty. So anyways, so all that to say, this sweater, my sister, this is the sweater is for my sister-in-law, and I kind of used the, let's see, I think you see like the full length. Yeah. I kind of used the sweater number 1 pattern as a jump off point. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I just kind of like looked at the numbers and cast on however many I thought was appropriate, started knitting, and then started doing, I did my increases differently than what's specified in the pattern, because I'm assuming this was like My Favorite Things Knitwear, like one of her first patterns, because it's sweater number 1. It is a very basic pattern, and like with the experience that I have with knitting sweaters in the past 2 years, no, now it's been like 3 years since I knit my first sweater, knitting different people's, like seeing how other people, different designers write their patterns, I feel like this one was definitely on like the basic side of, you know, you cast on these number of stitches, you do these increases, you split for sleeves, and then you knit the rest, which is pretty standard. Like, that's how you knit a sweater. But I feel like maybe it's just because, like, for me personally, I knit sweaters that have, like, texture and cables and stuff like that. Maybe that's where, like, the filler comes in, maybe. But, yeah, anyways. So it was a pretty basic pattern, followed it. Well, I wouldn't say it. I followed it in a lofty sense of like, okay, yeah, this is kind of what I'm going for. And then I just kept increasing until I got to a point that I wanted to split for sleeves. And then I, you know, split for sleeves and knit the body. I knit the body and then knit the sleeves. And then all I had to do was finish, I just had to buy more yarn just to finish the last inch of each sleeve and the last 3 inches of the body. So I was essentially like two of these donuts short. So, and in total, I guess I used 12 of these. So yeah, that makes sense, because I ordered 10 and then I ordered an extra 5 thinking I would need so much more, and only ended up using 2. But yeah, so it's a very bright pink. Not something that, like, I don't know. Well, I mean, I do love pink, but again, it's mohair, so I don't know. I don't know how my sister-in-law is going to like this. She gave me a picture for inspiration of something that she wanted me to knit for her. And so that's what I based this off of. It. The picture looked like it was mohair, and I was like, okay, you want a fluffy sweater? Let's go. let's do it. So we'll see how she feels about wearing it. I wouldn't say it's like itchy. It's just, you can feel like a little bit of the prickles. So, but I don't think she'll be able to wear it anyways, because the weather is going to get pretty hot pretty soon. So it'll be ready for her she'll have it for the fall. The next finished object is the Staghorn Aran sweater by Janet Szabo. I had initially started this as a project for a friend of mine, but because of how things ended up turning out, I decided to keep it for myself. So this, okay, the lighting's kind of bad. Maybe if I go like this, you can kind of catch there we go. Yeah, so this was an interesting and kind of newish to me, not really newish construction, but it was an interesting experience, to say the least. The yarn that I used is Lion Brand Pound of Love, so it's like those big 1 pound balls of yarn. So with this one, it's a saddle shoulder, so you got there's like you start with knitting these the shoulder pieces, and then that one, and then I guess it's, what is it? You pick up and knit the back. Yeah, so you pick up along the saddle shoulder thingy, and then you cast on a bunch of stitches, and then you pick up over there, and then you knit some of the back, and then you go and knit the front left panel, and then the front right panel, or whatever. The way that it was in the instructions, unless I confused something, it had you do the right side first, and then cut the yarn, and then do the left side and cut the yarn, and then go back and pick up starting at the right side again, and then join in the round, or like join all the pieces. And I thought to myself, okay, either I would have to look back at the pattern, but I'm certain that it's had you do the right first and then the left and then come back. And I was like, dang, I could have saved myself 2 ends to weave in if I had done the left first and then done the right and then connected it. But there might be another reason why it was done that way. But anyways, so this is the sweater. The size that I knit, this is a mishmash of different sizes because it originally started as an adult medium, possibly large. No, medium, I think. And when it came to the sleeves, it had me pick up so many stitches that this thing was way too oversized. Like, there were too many stitches for the sleeve, and there was something about the design that I didn't understand, and so I modified it. And now after finishing the sweater, I understand why it was the way that it was, because I have this weird little bulge at the bottom of the sleeve there, if you can see. There's supposed to be a little bit of extra fabric here where you pick up some more stitches like you would in a raglan, or like a sweater where you, or anything where you cast on, like, say 10 stitches here, so that it's not like I don't know my terminology, but essentially this was just stitches picked up on this side and then that side, and then decreases starting from under the arm. So now it's got this weird bat wing going on. The sleeve looks a little ridiculous, but I figured I'd keep it for myself and use it as a sweater to wear to bed or just around the house. And then also what I mentioned earlier about the acrylic washing it, like putting it through the washer and dryer. This definitely was a lot stiffer. I wouldn't say like it wasn't like cardboard stiff, but it was definitely stiffer, and the stitches felt tighter, I guess. And then I threw it in the washer, just a regular cycle, and then I threw it in the dryer, just a regular cycle. It's acrylic yarn, so I wasn't too worried that anything bad was going to happen. And when I put it on, when I tried it on before I washed it, it was definitely, yeah, like kind of stiff, I guess. And then after washing it, it definitely is much more like drapey, as drapey as you can get with acrylic yarn, essentially. And it definitely grew, not a lot, but just enough to feel more comfortable. It is an oversized sweater on me, but yeah. So look at all the cables. Like, I really enjoyed doing the cables. I had to keep track of them with a notebook, and because all the rows, they line up, like there's an 8-row repeat, a 16-row repeat, and a 32-row repeat, essentially. Like, so they all line up on, like, they all start over again on row 32 or something like that. So I basically wrote down the rows, and I just checked it off as I went, so I knew where I was in the pattern when I would put it down and pick it up again. So yeah, so that's that. Okay, I got just a couple more finished objects, and I'm almost at an hour now. So okay, so the next one, pretty basic. I haven't woven in the ends, but once I weave them in, I'm gonna gift this. This is gonna go with the pink sweaters for my sister-in-law next weekend. So this is a Ripple Bralette by Jessie Maed Designs. And this, again, is made out of loops and threads, wool-like, held double. And I knit this one, I knit it so it was a little bit longer. So it's, like, the ones that I've knit for myself sit just below the bust line. So, like, this ribbing sits just below the bust line. And then this part covers here. And then, yeah, and so I knit this one just a little bit longer. So when I tried this one on, it looks more like a crop top as opposed to a bralette. But yeah, so it's, you know, pretty standard. I've knit, I don't know how many of these at this point. It's over a dozen. And this will be the last one for a while. I know I said that last time, but I technically had this one still on the needles since last summer, and I finally just cast it off last night. Once the ends are woven in, it's going to be gifted. So yeah, pretty easy peasy. Okay, the next 2 finished objects are my own designs, and the first one is the Lyss Toque. So this is a pattern I wrote and released a couple years ago. And this I made out of Midnight Cravings Comfort Sport DK base. And I think this was called Chai Latte, if I remember correctly. So this is the Chai Latte. So I did something different with this one in that when I was knitting the brim of the hat, I actually, when I got to the end of this, I think it was 6 inches, I folded it and then I knit it together to make a folded brim. So, whoops, so it's a folded brim. But I didn't do a row of pearls here to give that ridge, like that folded ridge thing, because I wanted it to be a seamless transition. I mean, I've only seen that done in a couple of hat patterns. I guess it's not something that's like always done. So, but anyway, so I did that and then I continued on the pattern, and I like the way the decreases look at the top. So this one was just me testing out doing a folded over brim. Let's see if I can put it on here. Got too much hair going on. So I'm pretty sure this one is blocked. So I don't know if I get a good picture of it or a good view of it. But yeah, so this one I think when I was doing this one, I took out one extra row around the top just so it was a little bit closer to the top of the head. But yeah, so that's that one. And then the second one I knit is also Midnight Cravings Comfort Sport DK base. This one hasn't been blocked. The ends haven't been woven in yet. But for this one, I knit the way I originally wrote the pattern, where it's like you knit 6 inches and then you do the pattern. Because initially, like, I wanted it to just be a brim that you fold up yourself. So it's like that. So it's really interesting to see the difference between, like, unblocked and blocked. Because, like, look how different that looks. So for this one, the pattern is exactly the same, except I didn't sew down or seam the brim. And I think, yeah, and then I did the same. Took out one extra row of knitting at the top. So the reason why I re-knit these patterns is because I've been working on rewriting the pattern, because I wanted to include charts and stuff. And I had started this back in the fall, I guess. But then I just kind of like lost steam on it. So with this, I'm hoping to finish writing the pattern or finish editing the pattern, get it tech edited again, and then send it out for test knitting. So I will I'm hoping, I gotta what's the word? I gotta keep on top of these things for myself and actually do them, because I say I'm going to do them, but then I don't. So I want to have this pattern I want to update this pattern and have it done by the summer. No, summer. What is today? Today's May the 7th. May, June, July. Probably by the end of July. Because it took me about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks to knit one of these, or to knit each one. So it doesn't require too much time to knit. Maybe like a month or two should be enough time to test knit it. But in any case, I'm gonna at some point send out a test knit call for these again, once the pattern is fully edited and updated, because just to make sure that I didn't make any, I update the pattern, go through tech editing, and then have it test knit just to make sure everything is still right. Because the only thing I'm changing in the pattern, the only actual thing I'm changing is the decreases at the top, just taking out one extra row of knits that doesn't need to be there. So, or that I feel like doesn't need to be there because it added just a little bit of extra bulk at the top. So that's my Lyss toque. And finally, the last finished object is my Birkeland shawl. So this is the Birkeland shawl. I'm not gonna be able to fit the whole thing in the video or in the screen, But this was knit out of Midknit Cravings Rustic Twist base. So this is kind of like a, I think it's like a DK to worsted weight. I knit this on 4.5mm needles. All my finished objects are falling. Oh, there they go. Okay. They're safe. So yeah, so this was yarn that I bought. I purchased, I think 2 years ago at this point. It was originally intended for my woodstone wrap, but I ended up using different yarn for that. So I repurposed it for the Birkeland shawl. So this is the yarn. It's Rustic Twist. It is 67% untreated merino and 33% superwash merino. So the majority of it is non-superwash wool, which is really nice. But yeah, so this is a design that, again, I've been working on for a long time, and I have it all written down, like actually like in a notebook, physically written down, and I've been slowly chipping away at typing it up on the computer, trying not to make mistakes. So once I get it all typed up and I get my charts done, I'm gonna hopefully have this sent to tech editing, and then I'm gonna need test knitters for this because I would like to have this one done and released for the fall. So this used 4 skeins of the Rustic Twist, and it's an asymmetrical shawl. So let me just put it on. Okay. So yeah, this is, oh, I love how it turned out. So it's got like cables, and then it's got these little bobble things. You don't have to do the bobbles. One of the inspirations for this shawl was this particular like bobble, and I'm not sure what this is called, but like you pull a stitch across 5 stitches and then you knit the next 4 and then drop the last one off to do this sort of, I don't know what it's called. Is that smock stitch or something? I'm not totally sure, but it was really cool, and I wanted to put it into something. And so I think you can see I think I talked about this last time, but that's like my swatch, one of my swatches. So this shawl I'm hoping to have typed up, tech edited, and sent out for test knitting this summer. So basically my aim is to have everything typed up and stuff by the end of May or the end of June, and then have, oh gosh, July and August for test knitting, and then release in September. So again, these are goals that I set for myself that I would really like to keep. Oh, and then the other thing too is the ribbing on the bottom. I made it so that this comes all the way down, and then the ribbing kind of plays into the cables, or like I don't know, it flows with the cables really well. So yeah, so that's that. So that's my last finished object, and I'm at an hour now. So the last things that I have to show are my works in progress, and I don't have many. I mean, I have quite a few things on the needles, but I'm actively only working on a few. So my works in progress. Let's see. I'll start with the first one, obviously. I'll start with my biggest one. So this is the Boho style cardigan, or Boho Mosaic cardigan by Irene Lin. And this is, I really liked the Mosaic shawl, so the cardigan was an obvious next step. But this is for my sister, my younger sister, and I'm knitting this again out of like acrylic yarn, just for the ease of taking care of it. So this is the Loops and Threads Impeccable. So I got 4 colors. I got light gray, dark gray, that's kind of light blue and a dark blue essentially. And all I have left to do is the sleeve. I knit the collar is supposed to be longer, or oh, sorry, like wider. So I might end up going back. I might have to buy another ball of yarn and extend that longer. But I think what I'm going to do is once I finish this, I'm going to wash it and hope that it grows just a little bit. And then hope that the collar becomes less rigid. Like, I wouldn't say this is rigid or stiff, but compared to what it feels like after washing, this feels stiffer than what it would be after washing. So you can see it's got the same as the same as the shawl, where it's got the stockinette and then the ridge, stockinette ridge, and then it's got the mosaic motif at the bottom, and then it's got the mosaic motif on the sleeves. So I'm excited for this. And then there's like a little bit of a loop fringe around here, so I'm going to ask my sister if that's what she wants, or if she wants to keep it without the loop fringe. I think it's like a crocheted, something you do with a crochet hook, I think. But yeah, so that's that. So that's my work in progress that's almost done. I'm hoping to get it done before next weekend, because I would like to give all of the things that I've knit for other people, give them to them next weekend, so that frees up some space for me at my place, because I just have bags of, well, I have 2 bags of projects that I need to give to other people. The next work in progress is living in one of my project bags that I made myself. And this is another Irene Lin pattern. And this is the gown cardigan. So I haven't split for the sleeves yet, but I'm making the size medium. I think there's only 3 sizes in this, small, medium, and large. And I think in the sample it says it's the medium size, so I've decided I'm going to go for the medium. So I love this cable motif that's on the collar. Like, I'm not sure what this construction is called, but essentially, like, you start with the left side of the shawl collar and then the right side, or like, and then you pick up and knit the other way, and then you pick up like stitches to connect the whole thing together, and then you start doing raglan increases. I think I've knit another pattern where it does the same thing, and I can't recall off the top of my head. Oh, I think it's Joji Locatelli's All of the Lights is essentially kind of like a saddle shoulder construction where you integrate the collar into the top part or something. I don't know. I haven't touched that project in a long time, so I don't remember exactly, but in any case. So this is what it's looking like so far. It's like it. If I was to split for the sleeves now, that would be a small, and I think, yeah, it would be too small. I think I've got like 8 rows before you split for the sleeves for the small size. So that's what's making me think that, yes, the medium is the way to go. But then I have to do like 32 more rows, or 16. It's either 16 or some odd number of rows. That's more than the repeat, I think. In any case. So yeah, so that's what that's looking like. And this is made out of yarn that I got from a D-stash a number of years ago. I believe it's... Oh, I have the tag here. Okay. Got it. It's this one here. Fiber Spates Scrumptious DK Worsted. So I have 7 skeins of that, and I'm gonna make the cardigan as long as I possibly can, because this is for my younger sister, and she's taller than me, so I'm thinking I could probably add as much, well, I'm going to try to add as much length as I can, given how much yarn I have. What else do I got here? Okay, so I was going to show this, but this is just a little llama bag that I got from a Christmas craft fair. There was someone that was selling bags and stuff that they sewn, not specific for knitting, but more or less like makeup bag or something. Like, it's, yeah, you can use it for whatever. But yeah, I just have my lace socks in here that I've been working on. I finally picked them up the other day and started working on them. So this is like just itty bitty. This is Midnight Cravings in their light sock base. This is sock number 2. Sock number 1 is done and has been done for a while, but I don't know. I'm not really a fan of knitting socks currently, and haven't been for a while. So So I'm just picking that up when I have nothing else to do and want to knit on little tiny needles. So I was work in progress. 1, 2, 3. This one's 4. So this one is another project that I kind of like picked up. I pick up and put down as I feel like it, just because this one's really easy to travel right now, because I'm just doing the same repeat until I hit 13 repeats. But this is the Hitofude by Hiroko Fukatsu. This is my second time trying to knit it because the first time it was too small. Yeah, the yarn that I'm using is something, again, I got from a D-stash from a friend of a friend, and it's this yarn. Australian Merinos. And yeah, I got, I think, 15 skeins of it. It's like a fingering sport weight or something like that. What does it say? 50 grams for 140 meters. Yeah, it's kind of like a, oh, I guess that makes it like a DK weight, I guess. Almost. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, so I've been bringing this with me if I've been sitting in the car needing to knit, or not needing to, but wanting to knit in the car instead of just sitting and scrolling my phone. So right now it's not connected. I still have 2 more repeats before I think it's 2 or 3 more repeats before I do the folding and seaming and knitting and starting the collar and stuff like that. That's it. Yeah. So the lace is just a simple, I don't know, 8-row repeat, I think. So I've just been working on this on and off as I, you know, if I know I'm going to be sitting in the car for more than like 20 minutes at a time, it's enough time for me to get 2 rows, at least 2 rows. That's living in another bag that I sewed for myself. And then the last work in progress is another Birkeland shawl. And this is the one that I'm knitting along with typing it up. So this one is knit out of Patons Canadiana. This is it's 100% acrylic it's 100% acrylic, but it feels super soft. Like the reason why I got it was because it was the softest acrylic that Michaels has, or at the time that I picked this up, which would have been last fall, because it was on sale, 25% off or something. So I just started my second ball of yarn. So this is like a really nice kind of like chocolatey brown. But yeah, so I basically have been typing up the pattern and then following it as I knit. So I'm currently just trying to follow my pattern as I've been typing it up to make sure that it makes sense and that the charts are in the right place. And yeah, so that's as far as I've gotten. I'm hoping to have this, well, I should have this one done before I release the pattern so that I have more samples that I've knit myself. But yeah, so that's my last work in progress. And then I just wanted to mention that the bag that this one is currently living in, because yeah, this is a bag from a Canadian maker, and she is Northern, I don't know if that's going to focus, but it says Northern Bird Crafts, and she's based in Ontario. And what happened was, I think it was back in November, I had posted a picture of my Birkeland shawl, and I got a couple of comments on Instagram, and she had commented on it, and I saw, like when I see people, like when people comment on my stuff, and they look like they're like a small business or something, or they sell something, I usually go and check them out. It's like, ooh, what kind of stuff do you sell? And I saw that she is a Canadian bag maker, and I was like, ooh, I really like I wouldn't mind having, I wouldn't mind giving myself a gift for Christmas of a really nice handmade bag. And when I was browsing her website, and I saw, I think this was called the Crossbody Firefly, or Firefly Crossbody bag, and it's custom, like you pick the fabrics and stuff, and I thought that was really cool. And so I had messaged her, and I was like, oh, I'm really interested in one of these bags. Like, where do we even start with like choosing fabrics and stuff? And she was super helpful. She's like, oh, you know, what's your color palette? Like, what are, like, do you like floral designs, or do you like geometric designs, or like etc. And so I was like, oh, I like floral, I like pink, I like, essentially that was it. Like, I like floral and I like pink. And so she gave me a bunch of different options for fabrics to choose from. And I chose this cherry blossom fabric. I was like, ooh, it's super pretty. And so it's like, it's got a zipper here with the little bee, bumblebee. And it's like a pocket here. I've got napkins. And then I think these are like faux leather handles. And then this was an optional addition. The cross, like, this was an extra $10 or $20 or something to get the crossbody strap. And I was like, oh yes, I definitely want that because I like crossbody bags. And then the other cool thing about the inside, let me just pull this out, is, okay, so that's the inside. So I got my headphones and some other knitting stuff in there, but it's got this, oh, see, it's got a cable here. It's got like a drawstring pull-out thing, or like a piece of fabric that kind of like comes up and over, and then you can pull it. So it's like a project bucket bag sort of deal. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. And then I don't know, I just get really excited about stuff like this. And then it's got a oh, come on. How do I show this? Well, it's got a pocket on the inside. Oh, hey, some more knitting. Oh, I guess you can't see, but I've got like knitting needles in there. And then there's like a little key ring. Ugh, I can show it. There's a little key ring in there, and it's got some stitch markers on it. I haven't used it. I haven't actually used that yet, but I'm sure there's always been times where, or there has often been times where I need a stitch marker, and I always end up using like my ring. So it's nice to know that should the occasion happen where I need to use a stitch marker and I don't have one, I have these stitch markers on this little key ring that's in here. But yeah, so I get really excited when I got this bag. It took, because it was like over, what was that, like November, December, so it was kind of like during busy crafting season and stuff like that, or like just busy season in general. And so it was, there was like, her and I were going back and forth, like picking fabrics, picking the zippers, picking the hardware, like the D-rings and stuff like that. So it felt like a very much a collaborative thing. So it feels really cool to know that, like, I picked out all the colors. Like, I picked out this part, I picked out this part, I even picked out the zipper, the pink zipper there with the was that the silver teeth on it. She's got a lot of options. She's got lots of options, but she also has stuff that's in her store that's like pre-made stuff. So yeah, but she's also got stuff that's totally customized, where you pick literally every piece that's put together, kind of thing. So anyways, I was just really excited and wanted to share that. I'll link her shop below if you're curious about it. But yeah, so this has officially replaced my purse. So this is now my purse that I carry everywhere I go. And it's like, it's big enough to carry, like, it's like that. It's big enough to carry like my current project, like my shawl. I was able to put a sweater in there until it got to a certain size. So it's like a medium size project bag, essentially, but I use it as my purse / project bag. But yeah, so anyways, that's that. All right. I'm looking at the time and it's just over an hour, as to be expected, because it has been 6 months since my last update. So I had a lot of projects to share. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I don't have any acquisitions, because the acquisitions that I did have, I've already knit them up, and I'm trying my best not to buy more yarn this year. I've less than 5 times I've bought yarn. And for the most part, everything that I have bought, I have technically cast on for something. Oh, I guess it was even less than 5 times. So anyways, I'm trying to save money for Knit City in September. So that's my big goal, is as long as I don't spend money on yarn now, I can spend a lot more money. I can spend that money on yarn later, at Knit City. And I saved myself a lot of shipping because then I won't have to, yeah. So like instead of buying from the sellers online and paying shipping to come to me, I can wait until September when they're vending at Knit City and pay just the price of the yarn. So that's always good. Anyway, okay, so that's it. That's it for today. I'm hopefully going to film another podcast episode for next month. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and up my social media game. I guess I'm going to try and post more. I just want to be more active again because I kind of miss the community, and I've been trying to engage with other people's videos, like comments, like commenting on other people's videos and Instagram posts and stuff like that. So anyways, I digress. Let's leave it at that. So until next time, happy knitting.